don't give a 25-year-old that money.
No.
Because she's already demonstrated she's got problems with money because she ever went into debt to begin with. It's probably better for that to come and wait for a time where she's really got her money game together.
Grateful to
she
her
should
mother.
get that money when she doesn't need it. Earn that money and solve this problem for herself, because then she will be better to solve all the next problems and issues coming forward. It's not about slingshotting you forward. It's about the lessons that you learn to come from the bottom.
Right.
That's the key. Run your finances right at the youngest age that you possibly can, so that you can live and give like no one ever can, or most people won't because they choose not to.
A trustee is only allowed to do what the trust states.
Correct.
They're not allowed to insert their own opinion or advice into the situation unless the trust states that.
Right.
The trust is this imaginary document that's controlled by the instructions on a piece of paper. It's a legal fiction. So the trust company, I doubt, is an actual trustee.
Right.
They may be a company that holds accounts that are held by trustees, but the trustee is the one who controls it. So, this one's going to be really good. It's about my mom won't give me my trust money. I hope not. It sounds like she shouldn't, but maybe. I don't know. So there's two major possibilities here.
Right.
Possibility number one, this is the way I kind of took it at the beginning, which is we got a spoiled brat here. And of course, you're not getting your trust fund money and you don't deserve it and you didn't earn it. And if you ever get any of it, you should count it as a blessing, you spoiled, rotten brat. The other option is you're a good kid and you're supposed to get it, and that having a trust fund is okay, but your mom is embezzling the money, has blown the money. Your mom is the loser and shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
And this is a travesty, and so we'll see.
There's no money there.
And maybe, who knows? So let's find out what this is.
Well, you see, so we
one.
just discovered you, me and my boyfriend, probably this week, and we're looking to make my emergency fund. And I have a trust fund that probably has, I'm going to say, probably about $30,000 in it.
So $30,000 is not probably enough that I super mega care. But here's the problem between that I have an issue with.
She's what, 25?
Boyfriend.
Yes.
Me and my boyfriend, we're working the financials. It sounds like she's maybe living together and they're not married, and that's a problem. And you should not combine your finances with a boyfriend.
Right.
It's not a me and my boyfriend. It is an I have. Yeah. There's a worry. I bet you 50 cents Dave said something about this.
But the only issue is my mom is I'm going to say, like, the holder of the account right now.
So if her mom is in any way good with money,
Did
then
you see the co-host, how he went? His face when he turned his head.
If their mom is good with money, then at this age, you remember those principles from The Richest Man in Babylon. The first few years are managing your own money, and if she's working baby steps, and especially if she's on step 2, which is to pay off your debts, it's probably better that she doesn't get that money right now, the bailout money. It's probably better for that to come and wait for a time where she's really got her money game together.
Grateful to
she
her
should
mother.
get that money when she doesn't need it.
Right.
If she becomes an everyday millionaire, adding 30 or probably be 150 by the time that she gets to that point, or 200 or 300 can grow to that level. To add 300,000 to $1 million, it's just it's not a big deal, and you'll manage it and you won't blow it and lose it.
Right.
You'll be prudent with the money. You're a good steward of the money at that point. Right now, if she's trying to pay off X number of dollars of debt and she's in with boyfriend, she's 25. Yeah, don't give a 25-year-old that money.
No.
Because she's already demonstrated she's got problems with money because she ever went into debt to begin with. She took that credit card deal. She took the bait and they just reeled her in.
And she's got boyfriend.
Into the money thing.
What is boyfriend trying to... Why is boyfriend...
Exactly.
Boyfriend's
of
probably
course
trying
boyfriend
to
wants it.
persuade her.
And maybe boyfriend's going to get with her to swindle the money.
Till he gets
You
what
do not
he needs.
trust it. The trustee shouldn't give her the money.
Mom probably sees through this.
Oh, I bet you. I hope. And if I had to bet, if I had to put my 2 cents on one, I would put it on mom is in the right here, and Dave's about to inform the girl of this is probably a good idea, and let's hear about this boyfriend. And by the way, we have not watched these yet. Have you seen this? No.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So this is first impressions.
She's not really given me access to it since I became over the age of 21. Now I'm 22.
Do not give a 22-year-old $30,000 that she hasn't earned, and don't.
No.
Don't do it. Don't give access. You
Yeah.
spoiled brat. You're 22. You have the world is your oyster. As a matter of fact, if you were wise, if she's growing and earning the money, unless she's losing or blowing or she's at risking your money, let her. And
I think
don't
I
touch
would
that
tell
money
her-
till you're 70.
If I was her
And
mother,
live off the interest of it.
right? If I was her mother, I'd say first you save $30,000, and once you get to $30,000, then we can talk about it
Exactly.
because that shows that she's disciplined and she.
I would do this. You show me the interest on your money, and I'll match that. So if you save $1,000 at 5% rate of return, that's $50. I'll give you $50, and I'll double your rate of return. So if you can earn 10% rate of return, I'll make it to where you've got a 20% rate of return. I'll give you that. So if you get to where you've got $30,000. And I'm earning your money. I'm earning you money with this $30,000 that I've got invested. You show me that you're earning you money with your $30,000, and however much money you earn in here, I'll transfer my earnings over here to match that. But I'm never going to give you the principal. It's called the corpus. I'm never going to give you that $30,000. I'll give you half of the income because I want my income to grow my $30,000, and I'll give you half of that to see how you grow that with your $30,000. That's the extent of what I would do because I'm a really good protector of money over here.
Yeah, but isn't legally her mom have to give it to her at some point?
It depends on what the terms of the trust
Okay.
say. Because it could be a trust. It could be where she has the discretion to give it to her. And there's a thing called the rule against perpetuities, RAP, right? It's a total law school thing. But in establishing a trust, it cannot last more than 21 years past the life of a life that is currently in being. Meaning, can't say when her child is 21. I'm creating it this year. So when her child is 50, then you distribute the trust. Can't do that if her child is not born yet. But if her child is born, you can say when that child turns 80 years old, then the trust has to terminate and distribute. She could die without ever getting a cent out of that trust.
Wow.
It depends on what the trust says.
Okay.
But what you can't do is say when her grandchild, who doesn't even exist yet, when her grandchild dies, you can't do that. It has to
Okay.
be a life in being.
Okay.
So the baby has to have been born. And then it can only go 21 years past the death of that baby. So if the baby dies at birth, it was born. No, actually it has to be a life in being at the time. So the baby can't have died yet. Then you create the trust. Then the baby dies. And then 21 years past that. That's if the rule of perpetuities is actually applicable in your jurisdiction, which, this is all theoretical law school stuff. Do people really create trusts with that? Sometimes.
Yeah.
But will usually pick a child that's their life and will identify them by name, and it will say the trust will terminate when they get this age, and if they die, then this. We list out all these things. So creating trusts are actually somewhat complicated.
Okay.
And which is also why you definitely need to get a lawyer if you're creating a trust. So she probably has the full discretion to do that. And if she did that, then this girl will be one of the richest people on the planet starting this at age 22 with that amount of money. By the time she's 60, 70 years old, by the time she wants to retire. And by the way, this girl may live to be 120, may live to be 150 with the advancements that medicine is doing, may live to be 200. Who knows? If they get stem cell treatments to where we're just regenerating, who knows? The Bible says people live to be 800 years old, and we just don't believe that now. Well, maybe there is a way, and maybe we will figure out that way.
The Bible also states that after that time period that God said he wouldn't allow people to live past 120. So
I don't know. Maybe he has, or I don't know. But
I don't
if
know.
that was an Old Testament thing, with the coming of Jesus, anything Old Testament is all up in the air.
Yeah.
Of whether that is, and a lot of them, we're living. Anyway, not to get too religious on you, but point being, she may maybe she lives to 120,
right?
She lives to 100,
right?
Well, from 70 to 100 to be living off of the interest. We ran another episode, and you should definitely keep watching because we're going. And I will actually, in one of these episodes, I'm going to run graphics and run actual calculations of if you get a 12% rate of return, how much money that you will have at certain breakpoints, and if you take out just a small percentage of what you're earning from that money, the money that you've got invested, you earn money from that. Just from what it's earning, you take a small percentage of that and allow it to keep earning, keep growing and growing and growing. Where your breakpoints are, at what age you can live off of $200,000 a year, and then the next year your 200 becomes 300, and then the next year your 300 becomes 500, and then the next year it becomes $1 million. Then the next year it's $2 million. How, depending on how much money you have, where your massive breakpoints are. Because I'm of the opinion that, oh, you know what? If you give certain amount of money to charity over here, well, I gave charity here, and yeah, that's good for today. But if I wouldn't have done that, I would have $10 million in 20 years, or however much money this is later on. Because the older and the longer you're getting, one, you're not going to need it as much, and two, you're going to have that much more to give. That's why it's so important for you to run your finances right at the youngest age that you possibly can, so that you can live and give like no one ever can, or most people won't, because they choose not to, and they eat the seeds of their money trees when they're children, and they don't even realize what the golden goose that they've got. They eat the goose instead of eating the eggs, and instead of eating all the eggs, just eat a few of the eggs at first, and then there'll be some more eggs than you can ever possibly eat. That is the lesson that we need to teach someone. And if you're proportioning your money, as the Richest Man in Babylon book explains, 10% goes to you. Well, if you're supposed to tithe 10%, great, 10% to tithe. Well, what if you can save the other 30 more percent, and then you can live off of half? Which, how many kids live at home and have no expenses and basically just blow their money on frivolous nothing, and they waste it? They could have saved all the money.
Right.
And instead they didn't. Because why? Usually no one taught them. That's why we're here on the Lawyer Dana podcast. Let's see what else this lady says, because I think this one's going to be a good one.
She's making it pretty difficult to access that money.
Good.
So we were looking just to get it out so we can start the emergency fund.
Nope. Earn the emergency fund. You need to train yourself. You don't want to just get it to solve the problem. The actual solving of the problem is not the real thing that you need.
She's using this as an excuse so she can get the money.
She's using it as an excuse. See, the thing is, what she doesn't understand and doesn't appreciate the immense, much more value is the lesson that she learns that will change her into becoming the person that she needs to be, is where her real wealth will be. Not from the $30,000 that will magically solve this problem. It's not a good idea for her to do that. She needs to learn how to scrimp and scrape and earn that money and solve this problem for herself, because then she will be better to solve all the next problems and issues coming forward. It's not about slingshotting you forward. It's about the lessons that you learn to come from the bottom.
Right.
That's the key. And that's one of the problems with all the government handouts. You never learn the lessons, and you always become dependent on the government, and you never move forward, and you live this miserable life. Some people live on $800 a month because why? Well, because they never had to go through the lesson of learning how to make more than $800 a month, and realizing that they can make more than $800 a month, and how they could make $800 in a day, and they could earn and grow and get to that point. But they don't. Why? Because they become complacent, and they never have to grow past that.
What are the terms of the trust?
Exactly. What are the terms of the trust?
So it was originally made for schooling, but I've already had my degree, and they made me. She actually had me pay out of pocket for that whole degree.
I love her mother. Whoever Victoria from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania's mother is, cheers to you. I would love to have you as a guest on the podcast. Look us up. Hit us in the comments, because making her pay for her own college. Oh, poor Victoria doesn't realize the gift that she has. She has an aura of blessing, a hedge of protection. She is standing on her mother's shoulders. Her mother, her mother is her cheerleader, holding her up, and she doesn't even realize that she's able to balance on one leg. She is totally, absolutely blessed. I love her mother. We already here have our answer about this. I don't even care if her mother did blow $30,000. Making her earn her own way through college changes and creates a person. She is going to be so blessed from now on. But I'll tell you also something else. I can already tell that it's a no, but the fact that she did pay for her own college actually slightly notches me back to maybe it would be okay to give her the money. But I still wouldn't, not yet. I would give her that deal of you earn up your investment fund, and I'll match the interest that you earn from your investments. Which is, by the way, what we've done for Jonathan.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to touch the money. So it was probably about $5,000 that I spent on schooling, but she won't let me touch any of it.
Do you have a copy of the trust?
So the not touching the money, it depends on if it's invested or not. If it's just money sitting there, then I am extremely disappointed in the mother because that is a bucket with a hole in it. Because inflation is just leaking water out of that bucket. Yeah. And that $30,000 will be the purchasing power or whatever. You've got to invest it. And in fact, a trustee has a fiduciary duty. They are legally required and must invest that money.
I have the information, and I've actually been in contact with the trust, and they were just like, hey, she just has to sign this paper, and then it goes into your name. And she will not do it because she thinks I'm going to be a quote-unquote stupid kid and blow all the money.
Correct. That is, I like your mom. You should thank God you have your mom around, because I was a pretty smart 20-year-old, and I guarantee I would have blown the money.
Oh, yeah. I don't know one.
I blew money like that through my 30s. It wasn't probably till I was 40 that I started getting any kind of a clue. And I wish I would have. I wish my parents would have ingrained this into me. I wish I would have found Dave Ramsey earlier. All of those things. And that's me.
Yeah.
Okay, but the terms of the trust say that it's to revert to you, controls to revert to you at 21?
I doubt it. I doubt it. She knows the form that if the mom was agreeable, they could transfer it over, which, yes, if the trustee decides to be not trustworthy to whoever created that trust. What was it? Did she mention what it came from originally?
Oh, the trust?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was a grandparent. I just think, yeah.
Was it? I don't know. We'll see. Was it a grandparent?
I don't think so. That was another one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but because I was underage when it was made, she just won't sign it over.
No. Stop. You're not underage now.
Right.
The terms of the trust say that the money is to be turned over to you after age 21, correct?
Yep, and she just has to sign
She doesn't have to sign any.
I doubt it. I doubt it says she has to turn it over at 21. I doubt it.
Why would she need to sign it? Why is the trust company or whatever?
So probably what it is, because if there's a trust company, then
they're saying
it would
mom
happen
has
automatically.
To sign it.
But
yeah,
probably. I think it's discretionary.
She
does. That mom can do it, but I don't think mom is required to do it.
Right.
And I think mom is telling her no. And I think the trust company is saying all mom has to do is sign this form in order for you to get it, which is probably true. She also could just write you a check for it, any of a number of things. But I don't think mom's agreeable, and mom's not going to do it. That's what I'm seeing here.
Right.
Anything. She doesn't have to sign anything.
Okay.
Get back in touch with the trust company and tell them you're going to contact a lawyer and sue their butts if they don't turn your money.
I like how we just did one where he says, "Don't do it and sue me," and now he's telling the kid. It could be the exact same. He's flipping the opposite side, which, by the way, is kind of how lawyers do if you're representing one side. You have a duty to the person that calls you and the advice that you're going to give is going to be different. And you, on one case, you may take one position. On another case, you may take the other position.
If she
but
calls
you're
the
there
trust
to help.
company and tells them that she's going to hire a lawyer and sue them, they might say, well, actually, you don't have any claim because it states right here your mom has the right to sign off on this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think she knows.
I don't think she knows.
Over to you.
Okay.
She's no longer
Yeah.
the trustee of a trust that is now defunct because you turned 21.
But if she has to sign something, then it isn't defunct.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer,
Yeah.
but
I am.
that's if you have a lawyer look at this situation, that's what they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
If
If it all says
Yeah.
that.
That's going to be the next step. We were just trying to figure out if that was the right step or just trying to get her to sign it over would be the best step.
Well, I mean, best step would be that she doesn't need to sign it because of the terms of the trust. And if you've actually reviewed them, I would get in touch with the trust company and go, the terms of the trust are that it's 21 is turned over to me. There's no signature required on her part. If you don't turn it over to me, I'm contacting legal counsel, so you need to do this right now.
Yeah.
Just
You know,
threat.
I doubt that they'll do anything because they're going to have their legal counsel make that decision.
You would think
anyway.
that they know what the terms are. If it was that simple,
Probably.
they would have
Well, here's
said,
the
oh,
thing.
okay, we can just turn it over to you. You're 21.
Most trust companies won't handle an amount at $30,000. It's not worth their time or effort to deal with.
Yeah.
It's like it's probably just in an investment account.
I have a funny
I don't think it's a trust company.
Yeah.
Because most trust companies won't even touch anything at $100,000 less. They're looking for things that are like even $500,000 is considered small. They're looking for 7 figures and above on trust or professional management trust companies.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Threaten them
agree.
and just have them send you the money, and that solves the whole thing. You call your mom up and tell her what.
I think that she's probably already done that, and they won't send it to her because
Yeah.
the mom is still active trustee, and they're like Bank of America or Schwab investment account people.
She did.
Yeah.
She's trying
The
to
only thing
exercise
is-
control
yeah.
over something she no longer has control over. is what
I
I'm
think
saying.
she still has control over
Yep.
it.
Especially since I moved out, she does not.
Has
like
nothing
that
to do
she
with
doesn't have
moving
control
out.
over me.
Nope, that's true.
It has nothing to do with moving out. The terms of trust don't state you have to live with her. They don't state you whether you live. They don't state where you live. They state where that you're 21. Period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Now,
I
if
agree.
you go do something stupid with this money, you ought to have your butt kicked.
Yeah,
Yep.
I do.
Okay.
Got a
if you
good
go
point
screw
there.
this up, you ought to have your butt kicked. But that doesn't change the fact that legally you have right to this money.
Yeah.
Based
Yeah.
on what
No,
you
you're right.
are telling me. If
Yes,
you have
exactly. I was about to say it depends because based on what you were telling me, and it's iffy about whether he's giving her legal advice there or not.
Yeah,
but
I
I think
know.
he's pretty clear about. I mean, she should know this is not legal advice, and she called into a talk show. I mean, I
Yeah.
think he's probably fine, but what he needs to tell her is that she needs to get a lawyer. She needs to get a lawyer about this if she's going to do anything about it, or she needs to just let mom have the money and hold it and grow it and get her. So every year, the beneficiary is entitled to a statement of the trust. And as long as that statement is showing that the money is actually there and that it's growing, things like that, I think that it's in her best interest for the mom to probably still manage that money. But it depends. I don't want mom stealing that money, and I would keep an eye on it like a hawk,
Right.
and I would want access to it. And a lawyer can get her access to those records, and she can demand to see all of the bank account statements, any financial transactions, any checks that are written, all the financials in and out of that account, all the way back to the full history of it. She can get a full accounting of the trust. That's what it's called. And she can look at that, and if as long as it looks like everything is being done prudently, then it's probably in her best interest to not be there and to not pay this debt. She needs to pay that whatever her debts
Yeah.
are off herself and run her own baby steps, because then she'll actually be a better person.
correct information.
Yeah, I should probably just go over the trust and specifically what it says, and if
Yeah,
it
so
just
she's
says
saying
20
I gotta go over she hasn't gone over that trust
one,
yet. She doesn't
and
know.
they should either write me a check or legal counsel,
we're going to have an
correct?
attorney contact them and tell them to do that. Yeah.
Maybe she will. but it's going to cost her a certain amount of money to get that attorney to write that check. I mean, to write that letter. And we would be unlikely to take a client on just to write that letter, because there'd be an empty threat behind it depending on how much money she wanted to spend about it.
Yeah.
But we would probably take it on at least to get an accounting and all the records and things of the trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you can
Thank
call
you.
Mom and say, Mom, I've retained legal counsel because you're...
What kind of relationship do you have with your mom? Maybe
Yeah.
that's not a good idea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
$30,000 to risk your relationship with your mom?
Hey, Mom, I'm going to sue you.
Yeah. You got.
That's not going to go over well.
Here's the way I would have that conversation. As I go, Miss Mom, hi, I'm Dana Palmer. I'm the founder and CEO of the Palmer Law Group, and your daughter has reached out to me, and so I'm about her trust, and so I just wanted to talk to you for a couple of minutes. I first off want to tell you, I really admire you for how you're handling this trust. I just want to give her some correct answers. Mm-hmm. I love that you've protected this trust, and I think it's probably a good idea for her to let you keep growing and investing this trust. Part of what my duty would be get a copy of those records so that we can take a look at everything and make sure it's on the up and up. But I'm expecting everything is perfectly fine, and that I want to show her that and prove that to her and teach her a lesson as a 22-year-old about how she needs to run her finances. And she's doing Financial Peace University, which is great. But this is her reaching out to an attorney is actually a really good thing, because it shows she's growing up. But don't worry, because I completely see what you're doing, and I love what you're doing, and I'm not going to take any kind of actions with you. I just want to go through hey, let me see the records. I'll go with her through the records. This is a good part of her due diligence in doing this and seeing what it is, so that I can at least explain it to her. And my advice, go watch this episode of the Lawyer Dana podcast here and see where my position on these type of things is.
Yeah.
And we're going to help her, and I'm going to be a big cheerleader for her, but I'm expecting that this is going to take just a few minutes of my time to do. And I'm more doing this to commend and thank you for the work that you did. She needs to and should and is considering this a major blessing for her. And I'm also just trying to help her with some financial advice about whether she should try and use the money that's in the trust to either be an investment, or whether it makes sense for her to pay her debts, or what. I'm leaning personally towards she should pay her own debts and dig herself out of that hole in order for her to become the person that she needs to be in this. And probably, if I even got to that point, it would be, okay, let me check the records and do this for you, so that way you know, and you can have something that you rely on to see the records. That would be about as far as I would go. Otherwise, I would probably talk her into letting the mom take care of it, or especially if she tells me, my mom's a multimillionaire, there's no way she's ever going to take money from me. She's like, I would ask her a whole lot about that to make sure that this is not one of those situations where the trustee is taking money and doing things that are inappropriate. And if so, then I would coach her really well through this, and she would be glad and remember the conversation that we have for the rest of her life, and find a good, healthy solution for her. Let's see where Dave goes with this.
You're illegally holding this, and you need to sign the paper and turn it over to me now.
Well, there you go. That's an easier answer said than done.
Yeah. Well, it is, and thus is the problem. But yeah, that's the deal. Hey, thanks for the call. I hope that's all that information's right, because I don't know your situation, but it does sound like you need legal advice.
Boom. And that's the difference between Dave's financial advice and actual legal analysis type of thing. Now, nothing that you see on or hear on this podcast is legal advice at all. This is informational only. And if you have this type of situation, you're facing this, you should call an attorney and talk with them. And you want an attorney in the same state that you're in. We are talking to you from Texas right now, and talking in the context that I'm explaining things. It's pretty close to probably what most national law is, and it's much more accurate for how Texas goes. But again, nothing is legal advice, and you need to talk to a lawyer in your own area for something like this. And it's very important what kind of lawyer you choose. Because if you want a lawyer who has the perspective like I do, you got to find that out about him, about who you're talking to. Or are you going to get somebody that is? Because I've heard some things about Dave says you should hire a bulldog and go after them and do that. I never agree with that. I think you should hire somebody that's highly effective, but to be the bulldog, yeah, sometimes you have to be a hammer if it's a nail. Most things are not nails.
Right.
I'd rather have a full suite of customized CNC machines with welding and woodworking and plastic works and electronics and all kinds of anything that you can create in the world, every tool available to us, rather than I'm a hammer, boom, bang, nail.
Yeah.
Once you've gone through the details of the trust, if you can't get mom to release it to you and you think the trust says it's to be released to you, and based on what you're telling me, that's my advice to you. So, good question. Thanks for the call. Okay, so here's the rule, Ken.
Ken looks like he had something on his
Nothing
mind.
wrong with doing a trust, and it's not unusual to do a trust for a minor
Yeah, look, see?
until they turn 21, and at 21 it's turned over to them, and sometimes it's later it's turned over to them. The mistake that was made in this situation was
having a trust that distributes to a 21-year-old to begin with.
Yeah.
they appointed someone to be the trustee who did not have the intellectual power to do it.
No, you don't know that yet, Dave.
No, he's
You don't know that.
Jumping
You heard only her side of the story. I
assumptions.
assure you, there's more. There's always more.
Mom is
Yeah.
trying to function like mother and not trustee, and it's going to get mom sued.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know that.
So
No.
you can't. You can be a mother, and you can have
And
motherly.
look, I'm not criticizing Dave, by the way.
No.
I think the world of Dave. And this is just the difference.
This is just his opinion for what he knows.
And look, if that is the situation, then yes, he's absolutely right. I'm just not convinced. And we've dealt with so many of these in
Well,
depth
the
that
daughter
we know
didn't
what.
know.
Yeah, and the daughter didn't know.
She even stated she needed to read it.
Yeah, and so and again, we watched one the other day about the wife and the husband.
Yeah, and then the wife heard it
and then
and
the
wrote
wife
a
heard and
letter.
wrote it, and there was another, and Dave completely changed his position
Yeah.
on it. But I just see, because I deal with this all the time, so I see the other side of it.
There's two sides to every story.
Dave not having the insight. See, one of the things about lawyers is we see the inside of things that most people never, ever see. Dave sees a lot of people talking about their finances, but as far as knowing what a legal trust actually said, his whole answer was almost like a maze of if, then we get to here. And then he's right about talking about here. But there was some fallacies along the way.
opinions, and I might even agree with her mother. Maybe Victoria doesn't need this money. Maybe
There we
she's
go. Well,
acting out. Maybe she's immature.
But you might also agree with the terms of the trust that she doesn't have
Yeah.
to distribute it.
Maybe she's going to blow it. I already told her not to blow it, right? Just like her mom would have told her, right?
Yep.
But those instincts are different than the actual legality of a trust. A trustee is only allowed to do what the trust states.
Correct.
Correct.
And we don't know whether that trust even gives the mom permission to distribute it at 21,
Yeah.
which I would say there's a 50% chance that it doesn't even permit her to do it. Mm-hmm. But the company, so if it's just like Charles Schwab holding an account and she calls into Charles Schwab and they go, well, this is the form if she was going to distribute it to her. And what she hears is, all you have to do is sign this form and you won't sign it. Maybe it's because the trust terms don't allow her to distribute the entire corpus of the trust of the child.
Right.
They're not allowed to insert their own opinion or advice into the situation unless the trust states that.
Boom! Mm-hmm. And that's what we don't know.
In which case, you have really opened up
I had a feeling I was going to completely agree with Dave by the end of this.
Pandora's box of a mess.
I was curious what you thought about what we heard here. Now, I think it's fair that Victoria, I don't know that she's read the fine print, and I don't think she's going to, which is great. But
Yeah.
So we also.
Felt the same way.
does it strike you as odd that the trust would say to her, well, we need a signature from Mom? You would think, or is this a...
Listen,
That's
here's the thing.
exactly
The
my
trust
thoughts.
doesn't say to her anything. If she's saying a human being said, then it's some institution that is holding the
Right.
account. That's not the trust.
Right.
The trust is this imaginary document that's controlled by the instructions on a piece of paper. It's a legal fiction.
Is this because she hasn't read the fine
Yeah,
print?
and she doesn't understand how a trust
No.
works either.
a bad assumption on my part that they know what it actually says and they were in fact telling her what is in fact true. hard to
truthfully
say.
have no idea why
Right.
a trust company would be, unless they're just out of an abundance of caution trying to keep mama happy.
Right.
They don't want mama coming back after them, too.
Right.
She's
The other indication is I'm
going to be
gonna
pissed
repeat
when
it.
this goes down.
Yeah.
So
I don't
that's
think they're going to do that,
The other
though.
indication is they would if that's what it said and they were actually so the trust company I doubt is an actual trustee.
Right.
They may be a company that holds accounts that are held by trustees, but the trustee is the one controls it. It doesn't sound like the trust company is doing it because the mother is the trustee,
Yes.
not the trust company. And they can't distribute it out. Only the trustee can.
my guess is they're just
Yeah.
trying to play politics here
I
rather
wonder
than
if mom
legalities,
created this
which
trust
they're going to get
for
their
her daughter.
tail
Maybe.
on a crack, too.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to be a problem. So
Wow.
the problem is when
I wonder if it's 529.
you assign a trustee,
Maybe Dave's about to explain it.
then
here.
the trustee, you know what? There is no trust company. She's the trustee.
Scared me.
That's exactly what I just said. There is no trust company. She's a trustee. He's
Yeah,
getting
so
it.
that's what I'm saying. She's.
She
I'm
must have
watching
gone
the
to a
wheels
bank
work.
account, and a banker told her this.
That's what I'm wondering.
banker,
Because that struck
exactly.
me as odd.
Yeah.
That,
If
Yeah.
that isn't
Yeah,
what
it
you have to do,
struck
then
me as
Victoria has
odd.
to take a
Figuring
copy
it
of the
out.
trust into the bank
Right.
and show the branch manager, look, this is what it says, and every minute that you hold this, past this, you're going to be liable.
Yeah.
And just take
That's
them-
what I was
yeah.
wondering because the trust is just the document that says here's the deal that
I don't think
manages
the
the
But
bank
there,
is gonna
money.
there
be
sometimes
liable
there's
for
a
that.
trust.
I wouldn't think that the bank would be liable. The trustee is the one that has to act. You have to sue the trustee in order to make the trustee act, or you have to sue to dissolve the trust and have the court do it on their own, because the bank has a written contract with the trustee, not with the beneficiary.
Trust company.
And I could see the laws varying from state to state on that, but I wouldn't. If I'm the bank, I'm not particularly worried, and the
Right.
bank's legal department is probably. I would, if anything, I would think would be constant is that the bank is doing something correct.
Right.
But the trust company, the trust department in a bank can act as a trustee.
Exactly.
Correct.
But the mama's the trustee on this.
Correct.
No question. And she's
So-
mad that Victoria left the house.
Yeah.
According
Well,
to Victoria.
I don't know that she's mad that Victoria left
Possibly,
the
I
house.
mean-
I think Victoria is probably trying to still ask for money and do a lot of different things, and mom is not under
Victoria
any
has a
obligation.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Boyfriend knows about this trust.
Yeah.
Boyfriend's in Victoria's ears.
Yeah. Yep.
Mom might not like boyfriend. Let's just be honest.
Well, whether mom loves boyfriend or doesn't like boyfriend or not, I still wouldn't. If I was
Oh,
her
yeah.
mom, I wouldn't distribute it.
No.
I
Unless
would.
I
I
had
would protect
to.
it because she's still a foolish 22-year-old. I want to protect 50-year-old Victoria, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old Victoria. I want
Right.
to protect her later in life. She's 22. Without this money, she's 22.
Right.
And she's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. I want this money to grow and be a blessing for her, like whoever settled and created this thing to begin with probably intended.
Victoria. So
Yeah. Didn't like the boy. Yeah. So, and all of that may be accurate. Doesn't matter, though, in this case. Well, all that matters is, so point being, that the takeaway for all of you in America is, if you're going to form a trust, be careful who you appoint as the trustee. It is a tremendous responsibility.
Okay, that's true. That's absolutely true. However, the other point is, if you're a beneficiary of a trust, read it.
Yes.
And perhaps before you accuse your mother, who is probably trying to protect you, of doing something nefarious and calling in a radio show about that, you should talk to a lawyer. Mm-hmm. You should talk to a lawyer and actually give it to you and explain it to you. And you should talk to a lawyer who likes things to be healthy and to help someone that will coach you to realize, don't try and sue your mother for $30,000
Right.
to give to you at age 22 where you are going to blow it. Mm-hmm. Let the protection be there and consider it to be the blessing that it is, and go thank your mom. Tell her that you love her. Send her some flowers and apologize to her for being a little piece of... You know what that icon that looks like chocolate ice cream?
Yes.
The eyes?
The poop emoji.
Yeah. Don't be a poop head, and consider it to be a blessing. And if you're going to talk to a lawyer, you want a lawyer that's going to tell you that and make your life better.
Yes.
Not put you at odds with your parents over $30,000.
Right.
No way is that worth it.
No, it's not.
This is the Lawyer Dana Show.